Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously, of a garage shop. Taking scary how to use bikes one bike at a time.
If you like these videos, please like and subscribe.
I'm the guy, and if you watch any of my videos, you have noticed that I purchase bikes and refurbish them. And the question is how do I find these bikes? Well, one location I get my bikes from is Craigslist. So this is your Craigslist, basically front page. First, you need to identify what area you want to look for and identify those particular bikes in that area and region. So you can adjust this by zip code and all of this. Your basic locator, I won't go into that too much detail, but after that you want to find your main category, which in my case is going to be bikes. And this is going to pull out the bikes from newest to oldest, which is great, but there's a ton of bikes in that search area, which we have like 5 or 6 million people, so it's quite busy. So what I need to do is work on these parameters over here and kind of funnel it in. So let's say 1,000 is my range. And then I specifically pick the bikes I'm looking for. Keep in mind, people sometimes mismark or don't identify the bikes correctly. So sometimes you won't find it in the master list, or if there's something specific, you can actually type it in on top there. But I'm doing a general search in those particular bikes. So here we go. This is the newest to oldest, and they go like 23 minutes, 29 minutes, and so forth. And I basically kind of skim through these. I recognize the brands I'm very familiar with. I'm not sure what leader is. I know they've been around, but I'm not that particularly interested. So I'm looking for a bike that's specifically, a Globe. That's pretty interesting. And I get a little kick out of it. So sometimes like, what is this? A little engine bike? Oh, that's motorized. Is that really a road bike? Well, anyway, I keep looking, and it's like I find some little gems in here. What you're looking for is the bike, and this is kind of horrible, but I look for stuff that is, I know what it is by looking at the picture, but the descriptions are so poorly written, it doesn't give you the right information. Year, make, model, size. Well, this gives you like the women's carbon bike, yeah, in a 50 centimeter. And I guess it does say Trek. We'll just pop into this one and take a look. So Trek 5,000 for 500. So this is kind of, not too bad. They got some pictures here, which is nice, and some description. 24 pictures is what is the limit on Craigslist, and I would suggest if you're selling anything, utilize as many of those pictures as you can. So this have size, and they give you the size, the height that fits to it, and the componentry, and what we're willing to be, cash, Venmo, not Venmo, but Zelle in this case. So I look at these guys and get a little bit closer look, and this one looks pretty clean, and so forth. So that's what I'm looking for is, you're looking for a clean bike, especially now since COVID has kind of cooled its jets and nicer product has come online and not as expensive. So $500 for a full carbon bike is not too bad. But keep in mind, with any bike that you are purchasing used, there is a good chance that you're going to have it tuned up or some parts done to it, that kind of thing. And just keep looking around and seeing. I mean, you can go by size, but sometimes people don't put the right size in, so you want to kind of skim these. I check this a couple times a day because I'm constantly looking for bikes to purchase, and I look for those deals. KHS is not really a strong name, but it has a carbon frame and has Dura-Ace on it. That's kind of appealing, well, bits. But keep in mind, people can mismatch those parts. Could be just a Dura-Ace shifters or grid railer or even just a brake, and that listing doesn't mean the whole bike. But for this particular practice, I'm going to look at this guy here, the 5200. 5200 Carbon OCLV has been around for a long time, or they built them for a good quantity of time, like 7 or 8 years. And this is OCLV Carbon. I know this specifically well because I remember these were new. I worked at several Trek dealers over the years, being service manager, and also my parents and I had our shop. And looking at this bike, it's like, okay, the pretty carbon that's painted over. I know this one comes with Ultegra componentry, but it comes with the select wheels or Bontrager, select ones. And I look through the pictures and look at them very closely. You know, it's like, okay, the wrap could be cleaner. The pictures are not the greatest. There might be some scratch and scuffs that I might, you know, double check with the tap test, that kind of thing if I see this in person. And that's the Carbon 120, the Ultegra componentry. These were built in the United States, which is kind of cool. But you can see this drivetrain is uber dirty. So that's something that you want to definitely going to have to get a tune-up on. And these wheels, the tires, these are pretty decent. They're pro races. But the wheels on the Bontrager ones, those particular pair spokes, they had a tendency of cracking around these spoke nipples. So you want to double check that when you check it in person. If not, you're going to be buying a new wheel. And look at this wrap job. It's like all kind of flailing out. So, and the decals are covered up. Yeah, you need some new wraps. So anyway, most road bikes you're going to get is new wraps. But what's kind of weird is like these caps are not the original caps, the Ultegra shifters. That's if they're the actual Ultegra shifters. They do look like they have blocks in them, so this may have been a women's-specific model, or they brought that reach in. So that's something you might want to take a peek at as well. It might be 5200 women's-specific design, WSD. So yeah, that's actually not too bad to look a bike, and it might be something that I'd be interested in looking at for 400 or a little below 400. So where do I go to kind of identify what am I looking at? Don't trust what they're saying here. Bontrager DCLV, oh, that's incorrect. Well, it's OCLV. And, you know, is it a 29 speed? Yeah, probably. It's a 9x3 in the back. Wobble cage is not worth mentioning. Everything works great. Sure. Don't believe anybody when they say that. Cash only. He wants to be text. That's fine. I probably shouldn't be showing that guy's number anyway. But anyway, he's throwing it out there. So what you're looking at is this Trek 5200. Okay, I need to figure out the year, what this is. You can identify. If you reach out to people, you want to find out what year it is. Are they the original owner? If they're not, how long have they had it? That kind of thing. But with Treks, I specifically go to the Trek archive site. This one here, I'm going to go back to the home page. Here you go. So they give a list of years, and they only have like not super new, but 2017 to 2003 actually. These are just Gary Fisher's on the 2002, so this is really not helpful, but it gets you pretty close. So I know this is a 2004. I've looked it up already, but you can kind of poke through here and check that. Well, maybe it is a WSD. Let's double check that. Okay, there we go. WSD. So women's specific design. As the coloring matches, so that's a good one. If the color doesn't match, try to get the decals to match in the pictures, because sometimes these bikes will have two different colors, not just one. So that's something you want to check into. And if you find something that has the right decaling, but the coloring might be a little bit off, or they change the color, or they have the other color option, that's fine too. But you want to check, that's a carbon frame, fork, sizes, what they have listed. I think that was what, a 51. The smaller ones of these are 650 wheel. That's why it looks like a huge gap here. That's only on the super small one. The other ones are 700C. That's why it has a split dimension here. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Okay, shifters, Ultegra. Good stuff, workhorse. It works really well once it's cleaned up and all that. These do need a ultrasonic drivetrain clean. That really cleans them up. With my experience, that makes the shifters come back to life. Then you got your other componentry, seat posts, yeah, that was a carbon, handlebars, looks like it's the same. So a lot of this stuff looks like it's the original spec. So that's great. So you got the year, the picture, the model, the size. That's awesome. So what's the next thing you're going to do? Well, I'm going to go to Bicycle Blue Book. Bicycle Blue Book is a guide that helps figure this out. So you can go to the main guide here. I know it's a 2004 Trek 5200, and gonna go pop this through and see what comes up. It doesn't find everything, but it finds majority of the stuff. Come on, you gonna work for me? There we go. And this one doesn't have pictures, but I know what it is what it is, right? So that's where I identified and made sure the pictures are right on the Trek site. So I triangulated that it's actually correct. I always put excellent so I know what the top of the top is, but you can toggle these down to see a lower range. So right here, private party range is 500. Trade-in is for bike shops for trading in. So you want to try to get something in between that. That is definitely not in excellent condition. I would say it's probably just more in a good condition. So yeah, you're looking at 450, 460, somewhere around there. And looking at that, they're at 395. So they're below that. So that's great. So you're looking at between that range. So that's a fair price for that particular bike. Keeping note that it's also not damaged and so forth. The other place I like to go is Bikepedia. Bikepedia will have that picture sometimes, and they'll also have the same thing as Trek. So if you're not looking at a Trek and you're having a hard time like a Felt or Specialized or a Cannondale, Bikepedia is a good place to go to get that laundry list of what componentry is on there. Then you can identify what has been swapped out, and if it's, then you can determine if it's upgrade or downgrade or what have you. And this one usually puts the MSRP on there when it's new, so you can kind of get an idea what it was new. So between Bikepedia, the Trek page, I really rely on Bicycle Blue Book. And keep in mind with Bicycle Blue Book, it's an algorithm that just spits out numbers. Actually, here's the 2800. So it doesn't keep track of seasonality. So if it's dead of winter, the prices are going to be technically high. It also doesn't keep track of demands, like through COVID, for example. The prices here were way underflated. So that's kind of thing. So when I'm looking at bikes, yeah, those are range. And talking about that in particular bike, if you're interested in that particular kind of bike, it's a 5200, right? Carbon full frame. And you check it out, it looks all good to go. Still need a tune-up. Well, keep in mind, tune-ups are going to cost you anywhere between 100, 200, almost up to 300 just for labor, then parts on top of that. Tires, tubes, bar tape, what's other, platform pedals or different kind of pedals that you may use that might need a new rear wheel. A chain, a cassette most likely needs to be replaced because older bikes, they wear all those componentry out, and all new cables and housing. So you're looking at, this one, you would definitely be putting 400 into it, maybe 500 into it. So yeah, that below $400 price range, boom, almost doubles, right? So you want to make sure you make those particular decisions and that kind of thing. If I was me, I may go back to that other listing that I saw and give that one a better look. If I'm looking at that specific size, this one looked a little bit cleaner. It might be a little bit older, but with componentry hasn't changed in that much in those particular year ranges. This actually might be the better buy because it's cleaner, less abuse and so forth. Even though it may be a little bit more, $100-ish, you might be able to talk them down a little. But the thing is this might be a little bit better bike as in longevity, because this one doesn't look like it's been hardly ridden. So you got to keep that in mind too. So this is closer to that 8% that I find that might just need a few things, so it's still rideable. But hey, you still need to figure out size and fit. So that's where geometrygeeks.com is a good place to go to figure out sizes and so forth, and you can triangulate with the actual bike manufacturers and see if that particular model is going to work for you as in size range to start off. Then you need to adjust the saddle, the seat, and that's a whole nother can of worms, and also another series of videos to go over, which there's some out there which I'll eventually get to myself. But hey, that's what I do when I look for bikes in a nutshell. That's the 101 when I smash into Craigslist and try to find those little diamonds in the rough to provide for those. So when you're looking at that bike that we're just talking about, let's say if it's this one here, my magic basically is I do overhaul these. I strip them down to the frame. I go through everything, replace the cables, bar tape, put on pedals that are platform, inspect those rims and so forth. So all those things that I do validate the actual price of my bike. And so if I bought this for 500, this one would probably be selling between, I don't know, probably 700, maybe 8, depending what I had to put into it and parts. Really what you're paying for me is my labor and time and parts. So essentially, if you bought this bike and took it to a bike shop, that's the equivalent of what I charge. So put it this way, I'm trying to help people get over the heartache of getting bikes and have to have the tune-up done and all of that, and make sure it's all ready to go out of the gate for the best experience possible, and checking for all those warranty issues and that kind of thing to make sure it's a solid bike. So either way, either buy it yourself and take it to a shop and pay for it there, keep that in mind, or find something that I have in stock that'll actually work for you, and or just be on my mail list and check those things out. So if you want to see the products and stuff that I actually provide, I have links below. Also on my website, you'll find a whole plethora of information, also what I do sell. And thanks for your time. And if you want to be notified of bikes that I do just landed, join the email list. Hope you enjoyed this video of what I've dived into. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey, from the garage, it's Justin.